Greetings, welcome back to another exciting episode of the Death Taxes and Sports podcast. We're excited to announce next Wednesday will be our 2-year anniversary special, but we're excited tonight to bring you episode 118. Gentlemen, looks like we have Gary Legend in audio, and we have Ben, the Cowboys fan, Holloway here as well. How are you guys doing?
Doing good. I'm doing good. Supporting my team through good and bad, and there's been more bad than good over the last 30 years.
Right, and Georgia
But-
Tech, that last second shot.
Oh,
with
don't
Georgia
worry,
Tech.
we'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah,
What's up, Gary? How you
definitely.
feeling?
Another day in paradise, gentlemen. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Good. You sound far away, and you sound like your name is Tyrone versus your name being Gary.
That might be a little racist. My voice is a little scratchy, yes, but can you guys hear me fine otherwise?
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can.
He was thinking maybe your mouth was far from the mic. I think.
Yes, that's what it was.
I think that's
not
what he was
necessarily
trying to
you
say.
being sick. I was like, you just sound far away. You just sound deeper. So I just didn't know if you were sick. But hopefully you're feeling better. Did you get some tea?
Yeah, no, we're good. We're good.
Okay. All right. Make sure.
Let's get it
All right.
rolling.
Let's make sure. Hold on, Ben. I just want to make sure Gary's good. That's okay.
Oh yeah.
Just want to make sure he has some tea.
We love Gary. We want to make sure he's all good.
I appreciate your concern, but trust me, I have plenty of tea for this evening. So.
Okay. All right.
Beautiful.
Sounds good.
Beautiful.
Sounds good.
We love
So, and speaking of tea, so tonight we're going to be discussing Lamar Jackson. Boy, we got a lot to say about that. We got Brock Purdy. Does he have anything to prove? Does he have more to prove? Dan Campbell's coaching decisions on a fourth down. Oh, man. We'll see about that one. And then we're going to be discussing some college basketball and continue our new battle segment. But tonight, we first have to start off with the topic about these storylines. What is a bigger storyline with Lamar, with another playoff flop, or Mahomes of Kansas City making their fourth Super Bowl in 5 years? And Ben, you know what?
You want to let Gary? You want to let Gary?
Go ahead, Gary, because you have. I want to. Let's do your punchlines. You bring great pizzazz to these segments.
Well, I don't know how much pizzazz I can bring, but frankly, as far as Kansas City goes, it's like the show, Death Taxes and them in the Super Bowl. There's no shock there necessarily. Like if there was a team Baltimore would lose to, the defending Super Bowl champions, is not necessarily like the worst loss. However, remember when Dirk Nowitzki won MVP in the NBA in 2007?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And you remember how we all know how that season turned out. And for those who may have forgotten, they won 67 games.
And Davis.
And
lost in the first round.
In the first round to a Golden State Warriors team that hadn't made the playoffs in the previous 13 years.
Mm-hmm.
So when he won MVP, you can almost feel. I remember the press conference vividly.
It was one of the most awkward press conferences you'll ever see.
It was sad. It was almost like he was leaving the team more than they were, awarding him the top honor for individuals in the NBA. That's exactly what's going to happen with Lamar when he's named MVP this week. Like that, it's going to be an honor. It's the second time that he's winning the award, and good for him. But to not even but no Super Bowl appearances in these first few years compared to his counterparts, we're going to start looking at him. We're going to start talking about him the same way we've talked about, say, I don't know, Aaron Rodgers in the last 10 years. It's starting to look that way, and that's without the Super Bowl appearance.
And real quick, Ben, before I throw it to you, there are going to be 10 players that have multiple MVPs. I believe so that he'll be the 10th, but he'll be the only one without a Super Bowl of a guy that has multiple Super Bowl appearances. Am I getting that right, Ben?
You are correct. The only one who has not appeared in the Super Bowl.
Or appeared in a Super Bowl.
Yeah,
but
appeared.
You get what I'm saying.
Clearly he hasn't won if he hasn't appeared.
Right. And my thing is that it looks – I said that the way that he plays is really going to kind of dictate the narrative, right? Because he made it to an AFC championship. At first it wasn't okay. He needs to at least win a playoff game. Okay, great. He's done that. This was the best chance that they had of being able to go to the Super Bowl because the AFC is only going to get better every single year. They missed a golden opportunity. They had a lot of bad luck, but Lamar Jackson just did not play well. He was only 5 for 12, I think, in the first half, Ben, the stat, or he had 5 completions in the first half.
I believe so. But I do know. I remember the first half he had a total of 65 yards passing.
Okay, right. He just played bad. Right. He played bad. And you look at all the other quarterbacks where even Matthew Stafford, even though they didn't win, he was still good enough to keep them competitive. And they were not competitive. And that's the issue with me with Lamar Jackson. But go ahead, Ben.
Yeah, so I won't go too far into numbers, but I feel like numbers tell the story sometimes. If we combine their playoff record, their final record for the season was 14-5, regular season and playoffs. So out of the 14 wins, 10 of them were by 10 or more points. 10 out of 14 wins by 10 or more. 11 of the 14 wins were against teams that finished with a winning record. 11 out of your 14 wins. So clearly, they were the most dominant team pretty much the entire season. They had a couple of hiccups early, but if we're talking about November and later, frankly, it was them and everybody else. And they put a beat down on San Francisco in San Francisco and followed that up by putting a beat down on Miami. Back-to-back weeks, which, by the way, is those 2 weeks is why he's probably going to win MVP. And to be fair, he deserves it. It is a regular season award. But the playoffs, that's how you go from being great, let's say, to possibly having, a Hall of Fame career, give a basketball analogy, Charles Barkley, Karl Malone, great careers, Hall of Famers, no championships. You need a championship to elevate to that next level. And Lamar, we got to call it what it is. He frankly has not played well across his playoff career. His 2-4 record in the 6 games, he has 9 touchdowns, rushing and passing, and 9 turnovers. Like that
yeah.
that doesn't work. And the game, specifically the game Sunday, we do have to put some blame on Todd Monken and the coach, frankly. I know Monken's calling the plays, but the coach can go to the coordinator, hey, man, stop doing that. Like, the coach does have the power to go up to his coordinator and be like, you need to stop doing that. We need to do something else. So that's why I'm saying Harbaugh has a little bit of culpability, because we saw they ran the ball like 8 times to their running backs, specifically to their running backs. Actually, I think it was 6. And the game was never a 14-point game, 21-point game. It was never we have to pass. Not like freaking Dallas like a month ago that was down 27-0. That's you have to pass the ball. This was within 10 points or 7 points the entire game. That's not an obvious pass situation. And by the way, the Chiefs' defense, their strength is their secondary and their pass rush. Their weakness is their run defense, which was 25th in the entire league. So not only did you do exactly the opposite of what got you 14 wins, you also helped out your opponent, because you not only did you go away from what you did, you played right into their hands to their strength. In the most simplistic form, gentlemen, and anyone who's listening, to win playoff games, you expose and you attack the other team's weaknesses. They instead played to Kansas City's strengths. That's just and Lamar, I'm sorry, I know Zay Flowers should have scored touchdowns, should have been 17-14, but it didn't happen. And that interception in the fourth quarter was god awful. Just horrible. And at that point, I think there was 10 minutes left. It was a 10-point game at the time. And Isaiah Likely puts his hand up. I'm open. Guys, let that play be when the receiver says he's open. He's not always open. Put his hand up. He was triple covered. Like, you cannot make that throw. You just can't. So we got to praise Lamar for his regular season, but we got to criticize him for his playoff performance. And to me, that's the bigger story. Mahomes in the Super Bowl, great job. He's a Hall of Fame quarterback. He's one of the top 5 quarterbacks ever. So the bigger story is Lamar falling on his face in the playoffs again.
But Gary, I'm gonna throw you a little bit of bone here in Mahomes before we get to the next segment on Dan Campbell, and then just let me wrap at you on this one. What Pat Mahomes is doing, having had beat Miami, going on the road beating Buffalo, going on the road and beating the Ravens, and then potentially beating the 49ers, I think, considering everything that has happened this year with all the losses that they've had, and the fact that he's never had to play on the road to go to the Super Bowl, if he wins a third Super Bowl carrying this team, this is probably the worst team that he's had. I would say cements him and not just the Mount Rushmore of football, but definitely makes him the second greatest to ever do it behind Tom Brady. And if he wins a couple more, he's going to surpass Tom Brady. Your thoughts?
My thing is he's got to get to 4 championships and set all the records to pass Brady. That's my thing.
3 is
I don't think he's going to get to 7,
convincing.
but to me, you got to get a minimum of 4.
Pretty good. But go ahead, Gary.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I don't think he needs the records. I mean, he's going to get them because he's just, doing it at such a rapid rate. But I think as far as the pantheon of great quarterbacks, yes, this season was almost Brady-esque because really, you look at that receiving core. Who was the stud? Who was the standout? If you're going to tell me Travis Kelce, then sure, I'll show you Tom Brady and Gronk. Like
even Kelsey didn't play well in the regular season.
Like,
Jeff, to hammer home your point about the worst team Mahomes has taken to the Super Bowl, led the league in drops, led the league in offensive holding penalties.
There you go. This is going to be. I say, to win 2 Super Bowls, you are in the creme de la creme. But when you win 3, if he wins 3, that's like, okay, that's a wrap. And just one last thing before we go to Dan Campbell, and I'll throw it to you, Ben. Stop putting all these other quarterbacks, Joe Burrow and all these other guys, in the same level as Pat Mahomes.
Absolutely.
Okay, just shut it up, stop it. Like, Joe Burrow's been great, but he didn't seal the deal. Okay, it's Pat Mahomes.
Mahomes is in his own stratosphere.
Everybody else
is his own stratosphere. Stop trying to compare people to Mahomes. He is the best.
Exactly.
And he's in his own tier.
Now, when it comes to coaching blame, Ben, Mr. Dan Campbell, how much blame do we give him on this? Because they were up 24-7 at one point and just completely melted down on Sunday.
Yeah. Can I go first on this one, sir?
Yes. Yeah, I was giving it to you, Ben.
So for me, Dan Campbell, the one thing, whether it's professional sports or if you work at a bank or whatever your job is, or not even your job, an individual person, whether it's a colleague, a friend, family, my number one thing is just be authentic. Be who you are. And I can accept you for your great things and your flaws. Just be who you are. So Dan Campbell gets the Lions to the NFC Championship game by going for 4th down more than any team in the league. So now I'm going to get to, do I agree with both of his 4th downs in the game? But consistency, he was always this way. That's what he did. Against Dallas, he went for 2, not once, not twice, 3 times to try and win the game in regulation. So, this is who he is. That's how his team has bought into him. And his team, because of his confidence in his own team, his team then feeds off of that confidence. So I understand sticking to who you are, but you can't always be exactly the same. There is context. Now, the first 4th down at the time, it was in the 3rd quarter. It was 24-10, the Lions.
Yeah.
That one for me, first of all, Josh Reynolds should have caught it. It was a good pass, not a great pass, but it was a good pass. That one I actually agree with, because the mindset that he was in and that I'm looking at it is not that it's impossible, but if you get that 1st down, you get another 15 yards and the game is a 21-point lead, you're in a really, really good spot. Halfway through the 3rd, let's say 21-point lead. So I like the aggression on that one. I don't disagree with that 4th down call. The second one, when there's 5 minutes left in the game, roughly, and it's 27-24, and it's 4th and 3, 5.5 minutes left, I think. I'm saying, sometimes you got to adapt. You can't always be aggressive. I say you kick the field goal because even let's just play the game. He didn't trust his kicker, so he wanted to go for fourth down. Well, if you don't get the fourth down or the kicker misses the field goal, it's about the same thing. Kicker misses a field goal, the offense gets 6 more yards. So, it's really about the same thing. I think at that point, you try and tie the game because your defense in the second half, let's be honest, was stopping nothing. You knew if you gave up the ball with 5.5 minutes left, they were going to score. So if that's the case, if you tie the game, let's say the dude makes the field goal, then the 49ers go down and get a touchdown, it's 34-27. Now you actually have a realistic shot still. Once the 49ers went down 34-24, 3 minutes left, that's it. It's a wrap. You're done. So for me, Dan Campbell, I wouldn't say a significant amount of blame, but I would say some, and I would more so blame him for the second fourth down call.
Okay. Gary, your thoughts, but I want you to give me 3 punchlines to represent the meltdown by Detroit and then give your thoughts.
See, I don't want to just sit here and shit on Detroit. I don't.
I mean, we're not. We're just
no, but with Dan Campbell, it's you live by the fourth down calls, you die by the fourth down calls. Like this is you said for better or worse, this is who he is. But this is for worse because you laid it out there. You had San Francisco on the ropes. You had them damn on the ropes. They were down. They were done.
Mm-hmm. They were down.
Super Bowl, there was no standing 8 count. There was none of that. Here's how we know Detroit was going to Detroit. You knew something was going to come up sooner rather than later, and it was almost a fear of success. A fear of, we're actually doing this. We're here. We reached the finish line, and then you don't know how to cross the finish line. Somehow you trip or you find yourself tying your own shoelaces, and now all of a sudden San Francisco is past you, and you don't know how to come back. Like you said, had he kicked a single field goal, we could be talking about history. We could be talking about a Detroit-Kansas City Super Bowl right now. But when you, if anybody's familiar with the movie Blazing Saddles, Dan Campbell reminds me of Mongo just a little bit. Look it up if you don't get the reference. But there's a level of meathead to him that it's just is he now the question is going to start, is he going to be the guy to lead that team to the promised land? And it's not fair because he should have been. But much like Doug Collins in Chicago in the late 80s, it wasn't meant to be. It had to be the next guy to get them there. So who knows?
It's one of those things where they completely dominate the first half. Their running game, which was absolutely impressive that first half. They gave up 130, 136 yards, 131, 130.
What, the Lions rushing yards in the first half?
Yeah.
It was 148.
Okay.
148. The most that Shanahan had ever allowed in any half in his 6 years there.
Right. I mean, it's one of those situations where it's damn, you're really rooting for this team. It's like you're rooting for the Jags back in 2017, where they were literally up against Tom Brady and they're one quarter away from going to the Super Bowl. It was kind of the same situation for the Lions. I really wanted to see this happen. They overachieved like nobody's business, and there's a lot of expectations going into next year. However, I do think, though, that they let go of a very golden opportunity, and there's no guarantee that they are going to come back next season. Jordan Love is not going anywhere. Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Gary.
No, but I'm at least they got some good news in Ben Johnson announcing that he was not taking any head coaching positions, that he's coming back.
Yep.
I think there's a level of him wanting to see that through first before he takes that next step. When you get to the doorstep like that, I felt like he's okay, we need to see if we can go forward in 24, if we can get to that final game or not. And then if we can't, then I can leave and say at least I tried one more time. So I think for them, that's huge. I think not needing a new signal caller is going to take that. It's going to help them out, especially. Yes, you said you have Jordan Love. You don't know what you got with Minnesota. You don't know what you got with Chicago. You're going to assume that maybe Chicago plays a little better next season, but who knows what they're going to be like. But yeah, like
Definitely.
this is the NFC.
Yes,
This should be the rivalry at this point. It should be them and Green Bay at this point.
Right. And, and kind of transitioning here when we're talking about an all good point, Showman, I'm just kind of keeping this thing going here. We want to ask about Brock Purdy. Does Brock Purdy need to win a Super Bowl to erase all doubts and questions about him as a franchise quarterback? Gary, before I toss it to you, I'm going to say yes, because there's always going to be those doubters. But just even greater, there's going to be, if not now, win for Kyle Shanahan and this crop of talent, because this is kind of the last. This is the last, like, it's like the army that's kind of on its last breath as far as being able to be viable and to threaten its opponent.
It's their last chance with this exact roster.
It's the last.
John Lynch and the personnel guys, they're very creative. They're amazing at the cap, but you can't keep everybody.
But
this is their last chance with this roster. With this roster,
Ayuk is gone. Ayuk is gone. So kind of bring this all in, Gary. Is yes, he gets this done. He is on the upper. He is in the top. He's in the tier of all the other San Francisco 49ers quarterbacks to win a Super Bowl, and they had won one since '95. But what says you, Gary?
No, you nailed it on the head there. I think a Super Bowl win does a lot of things. One, it really makes you reevaluate the draft. I think that's the long-term implications of him winning a Super Bowl, is reevaluating how you rate quarterbacks and how you draft them, because now Mr. Irrelevant's got himself a Super Bowl. That whole phrasing might be thrown out the window from now on. There's that level of impact that can come from a Super Bowl win for Brock Purdy. Yes, we can say that a win will put him in the top 10 quarterbacks in the game today, not all time or anything like that, and he's not even close to that. But it would give him an entrance into that top 10 in the game today conversation. I think, like you said, this team is going to not be the same next year. Ayuk's going to be gone. You got an older George Kittle. You've got an older Christian McCaffrey. Like, this is where you have to capitalize. This is not. You can. I mean, it's a hell of an opponent in Kansas City, but how many more kicks at the can are you going to have? You have Detroit on their way up. You've got Green Bay on their way up. You've got Philly's still there, even though they were beat up this season. Yes, and we've talked about that. They're still there. You've got the Rams still kind of lurking about. Like, there are teams in the NFC that can take over. So while you guys are the definitive best team in the NFC, you need to go ahead and capitalize and get a win. And for Brock, if he does that, then yes, he will be in the San Francisco 49ers lore. He'll be a top 10 quarterback going into next season. And really, like I said, the long-term implications is really how you look at quarterbacks.
Hey, payday. Ben, he wants to get that payday. I think him winning the Super Bowl versus not is going to make a difference of between $30 to $50 million in guaranteed dollars. That's what it's going to come down to. But Ben, take it away.
Yeah, for sure. So for me, I think I sort of changed no, I didn't really change my answer. So for me, if he doesn't win this Super Bowl, I don't think it's the end all and be all, because we were talking about going against Patrick Mahomes, who's one of the best ever. Now, I will modify that and say if Purdy falls flat on his face, throws 2 interceptions or 3, or even maybe only 1 interception, but it's at the worst time. So, like, context matters. If he plays like crap, then yeah, I can say that's kind of a big deal. But if he plays great, similar to Hurts last year, if they both play great, to me, if Purdy loses, it doesn't really knock him down much. You lost to a fantastic quarterback. So for this year, I wouldn't say it's the end all and be all to erase all doubts. I would say what Bo actually said, about, there always being doubts because of where he was drafted is absolutely correct. But for me, if he were to win a Super Bowl, even if it's not this Super Bowl, that's where not all the doubters will be gone, because there never will be, frankly. But I think as long as he wins the Super Bowl, he will be a franchise quarterback, starting quarterback for 10, 15 years, let's say. So that's kind of my answer. I don't think he has to win this one. He just can't play like crap in this one.
Yeah, but my thing is though is that but let's just call a spade, guys, because this is probably while he's only making a modest $900,000, that this is his best time to have all the weapons around him and everyone that's going to be in a prime position to be able to win a championship, because you lose Ayuk. McCaffrey's not getting any. He's not going to have this type of ensemble of talent.
Between McCaffrey. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. But between like McCaffrey, Ayuk, and the guy they traded for, Chase Young, you ain't keeping all three. It's impossible. You ain't keeping all three. There's no way.
Right.
And let's not forget, like, Debo's a little dinged up and everything. You don't know, like, if this is the beginning of the end for him physically.
Same with Kittle.
Right. They can't play the same way anymore. So, like, there's a lot of questions. And really, like you said, that $900,000 salary is key.
Yeah, and he's going to have to get an increase. Not this year, but next year, he's going to get an increase.
A win will give him the reason to try to go get that increase for this upcoming season.
Right. And let's be honest, the man is not necessarily with the type of physical gifts that a Jalen Hurts or a Lamar Jackson or a Josh Allen has. He is very limited physically, and he's been able to benefit off of a great scheme and great offensive skilled players. We have seen what he has been like without those skilled players, and without Debo, he looks completely anemic and lost on offense. But again, we'll see what happens. I'm looking forward to seeing those predictions.
One thing I will give him a tiny bit of credit before we move on. Jimmy Garoppolo, although he made a Super Bowl, would give him credit. The offense with the 49ers, with the same players, with the same play callers, was never what it is right now. So Purdy has elevated that offense. He's made that offense the best that it has been in the Shanahan era. So just want to give him a little bit of credit. It's definitely better than it was.
Right. You sound like a 49ers fan now. Oh, no,
I'm a Cowboys fan. I can never root for them.
I'm just kidding. So Ben, a topic that I'm definitely excited to be talking about is UNC men's Duke and men's college hoops. The state of the two teams. We kind of want to reflect on the season thus far, and as well as any other college hoop storylines. And I'm just gonna talk about my Duke team. Then I'll let you chime in, Ben, on your UNC here, and then Gary, your over thoughts in general. But here's what I'm gonna say about Duke. Duke's season has kind of been a perfect storm where they've had some early ugly losses. They've also been relatively good and they've been relatively healthy, but they've just been horrific at the charity strip and gave up a ton of points. They were, I think, they missed half of their free throws and relied on a late last-minute shot against Clemson to be able to pull that one off, and where Proctor had to shoot his last two free throws to be able to win this game. I don't see necessarily a championship team as far as national championship right now, just because they're so horrific on the charity strip, and they just play some pretty bad defense. And Filipowski, who's their best defender, he's been kind of anemic on offense. I don't know. It's a good team, but I just don't see championship teams so far. But Ben, your thoughts, and then Gary, we'll get you in this thing here.
Yeah, so I'm actually, ironically, I did not even know that we were talking about these two teams when they were playing each other this week. I just found that out. I was doing a little bit of research. They're playing each other. And they're both, ranked top 25, which is the norm, but not always. And speaking of North Carolina, like a little bit the same as far as, didn't start out fantastic. They were 7-3 to begin the season, won 10 in a row to get to 17-3, and started their ACC play 9-0. Did lose last night to Georgia Tech, bad team, not a team that's going to be in the tournament most likely. But, one of those games that clearly it's like they were looking ahead to Duke. Like, they didn't take Georgia Tech seriously. Georgia Tech has 10 wins. We're going to beat them. And they almost did. But, Georgia Tech, give credit. They made the layup to win the game. But I actually kind of want to highlight RJ Davis real quick. Just his improvement. And I went just kind of 3 years, and not too many stats, just two stats really, points per game and 3-point percentage. So sophomore year, 13.5 points per game. Last year, junior year, 16.1. This year, 21.5. So increase. And then his 3-point percentage was 36% both the last 2 years. This year, 41%. So RJ Davis has been a big reason that they are where they are. And they're still, even with that loss, they'll still be top 10. And I just want to give him a quick shout out. And I'm proud of how the team has responded, because obviously first year with Herbert Davis, they overachieved. They make the national championship game. Probably would have won if Baycott was 100%, to be completely honest. He was like 50% in the championship game. I feel like if he was healthy, they would have won that game. But then last year, they did not do well. They underachieved significantly. And now for Hubert Davis to bounce back, because let's be honest, if he had that great season his first year and then 2 bad seasons, he's probably not the coach next year. So he had a little bit of pressure going into this season, and so far it's gone pretty well. So I got to be happy as a Tar Heels fan. And they are actually Duke. I'm pretty sure UNC is now 17-4. Duke is 16-4. So it's pretty cool. They're like the same records almost.
Yep, you about to get that 5th loss on Saturday. Look forward to it. All right, Gary.
No, I mean, I know you come to me from my extensive knowledge on college basketball and all things college sports, but I can speak again from the fan perspective. It's always like college basketball is always more exciting when Duke and UNC are relevant. And I think that was Hubert Davis's number one goal, was to maintain the relevancy, because, you're coming from a long history, a long run with Roy Williams and with Dean Smith and all these different coaches and over time. You got to establish like some type of dominance. You've got Duke with John Shire as their coach, like he's a newer guy. Like the rivalry needs some freshening up. And I think with the two of them, this marquee matchup coming up this week, with both teams are going to stay. They're both in the top 10 now. They'll stay in the top 10 winner, no matter who loses. But I think for fans of college basketball, this is what you want. You want your blue bloods being relevant and beating the team they're supposed to. Georgia Tech was a bad loss, but again, it makes for a hell of a story, and it's a good win for Georgia Tech on their end.
Yeah, facts. College basketball, here's what I'm going to say. In the top 10, there was a stat, and don't quote me on the specific numbers, and I know that this tournament, I'm going to have zero confidence in my bracket, just like we talked about it last season. I didn't have any confidence in my bracket, but when I saw this, there's 55 total losses among the AP top 10 at the time that they're ranking when they lost the game. Make sense? So that is the most losses among a collection of AP top 10s in college basketball history. I believe it's between 50 and 55. Don't quote me on the number, but I know it's at least 50 so far at this point in this season. So that tells you, I see Kansas at number 1, then I see them at number 8, then I see them at 5, then they're 1, then they lose. There's going to be a lot of parity, and those 1 seeds, I would not be surprised if the 16 seed beat a 1 this season. That's all I'm going to say on that one. This is going to be interesting. But Gary, let's get to you on this one, because we know that you want to talk about your Knicks. I know you're not a Knicks fan. And the Clippers and Knicks, are they championship contenders? I just want to give you the floor, because I know how much you love talking about the Knicks. I know you're a Lakers fan, but you being in New York, man, the floor is yours, sir. Say how you really feel about these Knicks and these Clippers. Go ahead.
As far as the Clippers go, you have that amount of talent on your roster. You better be relevant. You better be good. You better be the best team in LA right now. Now I wonder how long that's going to last, how sustainable, because, they're one Kawhi Leonard knee injury or James Harden pull hamstring away from being irrelevant again. So, I look at them and I look at their roster, the bench and everything. I say, hey, you should be where you're at. You should be one of the better teams in the West, and especially in a year in which parity is real, especially in the Western Conference. Like, this is where you need to strike. if you'd have told me when the season started that the two best teams in the West would be Minnesota and Oklahoma City, I would have laughed at you. But here we are. And let's face it, neither one of them are truly world beaters. They're right for the picking. So this could be a season where the Clippers could be a number 1 or number 2 seed if they play their cards right. And really the biggest thing is if they stay healthy. Now, speaking about the Knicks, I always talk about them with a hint of caution because I've paid attention to their story for the better part of the last, I don't know, obviously I'm 35, so let's call it 33 years of my life, or 32 years of my life where I've been watching basketball. I know about the Knicks and their illustrious history or lack thereof. This team is different. I'm okay with saying that. I'm proud to say that this team is different. You have Jalen Brunson, who is just this quiet, unassuming superstar, almost a Tim Duncan of point guards type, where he's just putting up these solid numbers day in, night out. No Julius Randle, no Giannobi, no problem. Like, he's just, depending on how these next few games go for them, like Kendrick Perkins said, and I have to agree with him, you're going to have to put Jalen Brunson in the MVP conversation, as shocking as that is. Now, do I think this is sustainable? Do I think this is going to end up with them in the finals? No, I don't think they'll end up in the finals, but I think that a disappointment this season would be losing in the first round or really losing in the second round. This is a team that, for all intent and purposes, should get to the conference finals. They need to stay out the 4 seed. They need to get out that 4-5 matchup. They need to be the third, get the 3 seed, or really, they're only 2 games out of the 2 seed at this point. So this is a team that, has a lot of momentum and everything right going for them, which really, when was the last time you could say that about a Knicks team?
True. And let's just, for the sake of it, throw in the Lakers in this conversation, because I'm going to leave it to you, Gary, on those Knicks and the Clippers. We know what the Clippers are going to be. They have a lot of upside, but if they're all healthy, they could win it, and I would not be surprised. But I don't trust their health. But Ben, I'm going to throw it to you on the Clippers and Knicks. But I'm just going to say one thing about the Lakers, and then I'm just going to leave it alone. I know we didn't put that in there, but I'm going to. Ladies and gentlemen, they're 24-25, and there's going to be no trade that's going to automatically alter the course of their season. Dylan Brooks just completely went ham on them. One night they're good, one night they're bad. I don't know what to expect. They're done. That's all I'm going to say. Ben, take the floor. Clippers, Lakers, anything basketball.
Yeah, I got no confidence this year, and the Lakers are going to turn it around, to be honest, because the main thing that I can say is they are that record of below 500. LeBron and Anthony Davis have not had their missed 15 games streak. That's coming. That has happened every year for the last 4 years or so. And I say at the beginning of the season, the Lakers have to know, if they are realistic, LeBron and AD, hopefully not at the same time, but they're both going to miss at least 15 games. Probably more. Probably 20, 25. Like, it's going to happen. And the fact that they're under 500 and that hasn't happened, what's going to happen when that inevitably does happen? They're under 500 with them. Like it's not going to be pretty. But I want to go back to the Knicks and the Clippers here. And I will first give some love to both teams, and then I will say whether or not I think that they're truly capable of winning a championship. I'm going to start with the Knicks. They had a fantastic January. They started January 17-15. They are now 31-17. So that's a 14-2 record for a month. That's phenomenal. That's amazing.
Just to throw this out there for you, Ben, it's their best month, I believe, since 1994. So
well, there you go.
For everybody that doesn't understand why that's significant, what happened in 1994 with the Knicks team? Anybody?
Yeah.
Was that the 8 seed that made the final? No, that was 99.
No,
that was 99.
I believe they were the 2 seed that made the finals.
Okay. I got you.
So I'm just throwing that out there. But I'm sorry, Ben. Go ahead.
No, you're good. Adding stats like that and context like that is always appreciated. So no worries at all. The last thing I'll say on the Knicks, as far as the current, they are second in the NBA in points per game allowed. So that defense is phenomenal. Of course, the staple of Tom Thibodeau, their coach. Now, in real time, the Clippers, very similar surge, almost identical to be honest. 17-12 was their record at their lower point, I would say, although they were under 500 like in October. But anyways, 17-12 record, and now they are 30-15. So 13-3 stretch for them versus 14-2 stretch for the Knicks. Like, the teams are both hot over the last 16 games, almost the same record. So I'm gonna give credit where credit is due. In real time, in the right now, both teams are on impressive streaks. Got to give them credit. And by the way, on the Clippers, Russell Westbrook, the dude has faced so much criticism, some of it rightfully so, some of it not. But he has been, since he stepped on the court for the Clippers last year, he has been a net positive by far for the Clippers. And this year, he said, okay, we got James Harden. I'll go to the bench. I'll be the sixth man. And did not make any fuss about it, didn't complain about it, and has been the sixth man. And he has been a great leader and has done a really good job for that franchise. I just want to give Russell Westbrook a little bit of credit because he has gotten a lot of hate over the years and will continue to do so. But he's shown a lot of leadership. So that's the right now. But I want to answer the question as well.
Go ahead.
Can either team win a championship, or do I think that they're capable and legit Super Bowl, NBA Finals championship contenders?
Get the sports right, buddy. Get the sports right.
So my answer for both is no. There's different reasons, but for the Knicks, my answer being no. They could still upgrade it, but right now they don't have enough offense. And even more importantly than that, to me, is their competition in the East. Now, granted, Embiid's injury, and we don't know how long he's going to be out, is obviously a huge deal. But the Celtics, the Sixers, if healthy, and the Bucks, I would say all have a better chance to make it than the Knicks. So part of their reason being no is the competition, and part of it is I don't think they have enough offense because the playoffs, great defense can't get you to a championship, not in today's world. And the Clippers, my answer is no. And I wrote down one word, and it's a gentleman's last name, James Harden. What has he done in the playoffs? And I know he's not their best player. I know he's not their second best player, but they're relying on him to perform in the playoffs. It's something he has never done.
And Gary, like we talk about and we talk about the Clippers all the time here, and we just kind of want to get to these battles here. I mean, we know what James Harden's going to be. It almost needs to be like a perfect storm in order for the Clippers to even contend for a championship. But let's just call a spade a spade. I do not think the Knicks are legitimate championship contenders because that Julius Randle injury, we don't know what that's going to look like. Thank God he's only going to be out for a couple weeks, not months. But I really think in the Eastern Conference, there's really only 2, maybe 3 teams. That Embiid injury, Maxwell hasn't been feeling too good. Without Embiid, they've lost 4 in a row. They're 5th in the East. They have 0 chance. So there's probably maybe 1 to 2 teams, maybe 3 that have a legitimate shot coming out. The West, same thing. So we have a couple cute stories, but it's going to be very interesting to see. Any other final thoughts before we go ahead and do this battle? Anything? Oh, one more thing. Did we talk about Doc Rivers? We talked about. Did we talk about?
We spent about 10 minutes last week. Yeah.
Okay.
We talked about 10 minutes.
Okay. I just want to make sure.
We got it covered.
Ooh, okay. I just want to make sure. All right, we're making good time. So battles. So I believe it is. I give the first topic. And this one is Ben versus Gary. So for those individuals who do not know or who are just watching for the first time, we have battles where each individual will have 1 minute debate on the topic of the other individual's choosing. and with no collusion and no cheating, the person judges. So far, think I've won one. I should have won all of them, but that's okay.
And the only thing you didn't say is the person giving the topic knows the topic. The two debating have no idea what this topic is or what they're going to be arguing about. No preparation.
Yeah, no preparation at all, and I really had no preparation on the topic. But I didn't really think about topic here. But no, I'm gonna throw here with a little bit of NFL, and I'm going to go. I want you to make a case on why Pat Mahomes, let's go with Pat Mahomes. He wins the third Super Bowl. Is he or is he not the greatest of all time? Does he have to win any more rings? Is he the greatest of all time or not? So we'll go with that one. Is that one understood? You guys.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We can go with that one.
All right, cool. So I'll keep timer on my phone because it'll just be easier. And Ben, you have 1 minute. Gary, you have 1 minute. I want a nice, clean fight. Okay? Nice, clean fight. All right. Ben, and go.
So Patrick Mahomes, to me, is not the greatest of all time right now and will not be the greatest of all time if he wins his third Super Bowl. For me, I think that I alluded to it earlier, but I will say it again. Brady with 7 rings. I think Mahomes has got to get 4, at least, to be considered the GOAT, for me personally. Because GOAT is different than who's the most talented. Because Aaron Rodgers is more talented physically than Tom Brady, and it's not even close. But he can't be the GOAT. He's won freaking once. So GOAT versus talent is a completely different thing. Mahomes, if he has all the records, which, if he stays healthy, he's going to set just about every passing record. And if he gets to 4 Super Bowl rings, yes, he'll be the GOAT. Winning on Sunday does not put him there.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. All right, Gary. All right, and go.
No, unfortunately, I'm on the same side of this argument with Ben. I don't think he was going to be considered the GOAT. Whether he won this Sunday or not, Super Bowl Sunday or not, I think the gap closes between the two of them. But to just kind of almost to fuel Ben's argument a little bit here, let's look at the greats. Terry Bradshaw, 4 rings. Joe Montana, 4 rings. And then obviously Tom with his 7. We consider that the pantheon. We consider that the best of the best. And I think right now, Patrick Mahomes is the best of this era. It will be the debate, the LeBron MJ debate will be the Mahomes Brady debate in football. That's where we're leaning towards. And I think, yes, another championship will certainly close the gap between the two of them. I think as far as culture is concerned, that 10 seconds are done.
He didn't give you the 10-second warning, but you're over a minute at this point.
Oh, he put his hands up. We got 10 seconds. Sorry, go ahead.
We're good.
Yeah.
Is everyone okay? Is everyone all right?
Yeah.
Okay. We gave you we gave you a minute and 10 seconds before we cut you off.
Well, Ben, you had a minute and some other seconds last time. I was just evening it out from last time, so consider that extra time. All right, Ben, 30 seconds and go.
So, I think that Gary and I have made great points. He's not the GOAT if he wins this. It's just not. It's not the case. Because it's not only rings, to be clear, because Bill Russell is not the greatest basketball player of all time. He has 11 rings. So it's not only rings, but to be considered as the greatest, Mahomes has got to get 4. And this one only gives him 3.
Okay, I'm with you. I rock with that. All right, Gary, and go.
No, never mind, because I'm going to cede my time. We're both going to say the exact same thing. We're both in agreement. So,
okay.
So you still
come up with
next time
you should have a more divisive topic, because that was one of those no, he can't be. No, he's not the GOAT yet.
No, next time I'll say I'll say for and against. So that way I have to force someone to be against.
We'll put it this
Next
way.
time.
Even though we agreed, technically, let's just keep the theme. Pick a winner. Who debated better?
Okay.
Yeah.
Who won? I'm gonna go. Both of you guys won this one. Both of you.
Yeah.
There's no
All
winner.
right.
It's a draw.
All right.
It's a draw.
We can deal
I'm the
with that.
judge. I'm the judge.
You are
for
the
this one.
judge.
It's a draw.
Absolutely. You're the
Show
judge.
some respect. Put some respect on my judge name, yo.
I got a good one for
Go
you.
ahead.
I got a good one. So the topic is going to be football, but a little bit different. So the Lions and the Texans got great news. Their offensive coordinators, Ben Johnson for the Lions and Bobby Slowick for the Texans, both had interviewed for head coaching jobs. Both have announced they are returning to the team. So this is more like a projection for the future. So the question is when they will be a head coach, which they will be probably next year, as a head coach, who will be the better head coach? So we're kind of projecting, and this isn't easy intentionally, but they're both going to be head coaches within the next 2 or 3 years. So the question is, who will be a better or more successful head coach between Ben Johnson and Bobby Slowick? And we have here that Jeff is going to go first. So, Jeff, you have a minute starting. If you're ready, go now.
Yep. I'm going to say Ben Johnson because I look at what he's been able to do in revitalizing Jared Goff's career. You think of the time when he was with the back in the 2018 season with the Rams, where he broke so many different passing yards, but then towards the end of his career there, his numbers cratered. They trade him to the Lions. He has thrown for over 5,000 passing yards this year, is one of the top passers in the league, and looking what he's been able to do offensively, averaging over 30 points a game, leading them to their first division title, going 12-5, getting a third overall seed, and being a half away from going to the Super Bowl. That is what Ben Johnson has been able to do, being able to revitalize Jared Goff. Where I feel, though, C.J. Stroud had more upside, and he was just that good from the beginning, to begin with. So I'm not surprised that offense did what it did. But I'm a little bit surprised in the sense of what Jared Goff has done and his anemic play at times. So I yield my time.
You got 10 more seconds if you want, sir.
No, I'm good.
You're good. All right. Gary, I'm going to make my life easy and wait till 9:23 and 30 seconds. So you're going to go in 10. You're going to go in 10 seconds.
That's fine. Quick question for you. What's Houston's offensive coordinator's name again?
Bobby Slowick. You could just call him Ben and Bobby if you want. Ben is the Lions. Ben is the Lions offensive coordinator. Bobby is the Texans offensive coordinator. So now we're resetting the time. So we will let you go now. Go for it.
So the reason why I asked you, because I'm going to go with Bobby Slowick just so we can have a more divisive argument here. I look at Houston and I see like a team that, by all intent and purposes, really should have just kind of rolled over and not been anything good this season. Yes, C.J. Stroud was that dude before he got there, and we know that. But again, we've seen that dude make it to the NFL and then fizzle out because they have a bad team and a bad offense around them. DeMeco Ryans made a smart move by picking Slowick up or keep him on that roster and letting them just build up C.J. Stroud and that offense. You know, you had Nico Collins, you had Tank Dell. Thank you. I was getting to him. Yeah, Tank Dell. Like, that's a team that's going to be there for a while, and I know it's going to be unfortunate when he leaves to get a head coaching position, but it's going to be worth it. And I think it's because he's going to build a body where Houston's going to be relevant. I yield the rest of my time.
Okay. So, Jeff, you're going to start at 9:25 exactly. You got 30 seconds, and that is in 5 seconds. So 9:25 is now. Go.
Although I do agree that he made some points with C.J. Stroud, but at the end of the day, Jared Goff has been Jared Goff, and the reason why they traded because they didn't feel that he was going to give them the upside to be able to compete for a Super Bowl, and he proved just that, and not just more, but he had career numbers in every single major statistical category, and that's why I'm going to go with him. And yeah, that's all.
All righty. Gary, you will have You're good. You're good. So you go. I'll keep the 30 seconds. Whenever you start talking, I'll go the 30 seconds. So go for it when you're ready.
Okay, so yes, Ben Johnson has revitalized Jared Goff, and that is something that's commendable because we all viewed him as a castaway and as a guy that was just never going to be the man, and he really got them to a half of the promised land. I think that we have not seen the best of C.J. Stroud yet, and I think that with that Houston offense, you're going to see them get better. If you have enough people, you build enough around him. This is going to be a team that's going to win that division and compete for the top seed in the AFC going forward.
Okay. All right. Now that right there, both gentlemen right there, that was, I got to give both of you credit. That was an excellent debate. I like the points on both sides, but I do have to pick a winner. And my winner is going to be based upon not only the arguments, but based upon, I would say, the level of difficulty. So, Jeff, you're correct as far as him revitalizing Goff. But Laporta, St. Brown, Gibbs, Montgomery, now the Texans, Nico Collins, Tank Dell, it's not the same. Detroit's weapons are significantly better on offense than the Texans. Maybe not significantly, but definitely better. Amon-Ra St. Brown is guaranteed better than anybody on the Texans by far. He's the best player on either team, and he was on the Lions. So for that reason, I'm going to say Gary wins this debate because Slowick was not given as much to work with. So I'm going to go with Gary because, I'm going to go with Slowick, which Gary argued for Slowick. So there we go.
Okay. Sounds good. We'll take that. We'll take that colluding result. Sounds good. All right, Gary.
Okay.
Gary's gripes, man. Let's
Oh,
man.
Jeff. May Gary do that, and then I do the Arthur Smith thing we talked about.
Yeah.
If you guys have like 7 minutes or 8 minutes or whatever, if you want to go to 9:35,
okay, so
we got room for both. So Gary, you go first.
All right. So instead of my gripe, I'm going to do a debate topic for the two of you, and it's one that I was thinking about before the episode, and I thought this is one that might be interesting.
I like it.
Okay. Of the two teams that right now, we look at who met in the Western Conference semis last year, both teams are out of playoff contention, at least right now, or at least the Lakers are still in. But between the Los Angeles Lakers and the Golden State Warriors, right now, as currently constituted, who do you think goes on a further run? So I'm going to start
That's a tough
with
one.
you.
I'm going to start with
So I'll keep count. Keep time. I have it here on my phone. Jeff, I will start with you in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
I'm going to go with the Lakers because they have the length and the size. And if D. Russell actually can make some three-pointers, then they actually have a chance. They made it to the Western Conference Finals last year. You still have LeBron James and Anthony Davis. If those two guys are playing at the top of their game, they're two of the top 10 best players in the league. Don't care what anyone else says. They don't have Gabe Vincent. Gabe Vincent comes back. Still have Achimura. You still have a ton of other guys that provide just enough upside. For the Golden State Warriors, for them, it's about length and health. Chris Paul isn't playing. Klay Thompson's numbers are down. Andrew Wiggins is ready to eat some chicken wings and go home. Draymond Green is a half shell of what he even wished he was. So when I look at the pieces, to me, it's going to be the Lakers. But I'm not saying that with the utmost confidence because they don't have Steph Curry, and Steph Curry is that dude. So I'm going to say unconfidently, say the Lakers.
All right, with 3 seconds remaining. Okay, Ben, I'll have you start in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, so man, that is a really good topic, and I would say that I feel that I could go either way, but I'm gonna, even though we're gonna agree, screw it. We don't talk about it. We don't know the topics. We don't have to disagree. So I'm going to say the Lakers, partially because Golden State, it's like not only their record, it's like the eye test. Like you watch a game or you see highlights, and it's just like something's not there, man. It's something's missing. And you got Klay Thompson, who's older, and to be fair, has had 3 or 4 significant injuries the last 5 years. Like the man has had severe injuries, ACL, Achilles. So it makes sense that he's not what he was, and he's not. The Lakers, AD, and LeBron. I'll go Lakers because, yeah, I got a tiny bit more faith in them. So I'll go Lakers.
Okay. Jeff, your 30 seconds starts in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I'm going to say if the Lakers have a chance to even get into the playoffs, Rudy Hachimura, Austin Reeves are 2 of the most important players not named LeBron James and AD that have to be able to perform on a nightly basis. I feel those guys are better role players than what San Francisco has and the Warriors. So that's why I'm going to be a little bit more confident and go with the Lakers because of those 2 from a bench perspective.
Okay, very good. Ben, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
So I would say also I kind of have more faith in, strange to say, but now that Bob Myers is not with Golden State, and despite the Russell Westbrook catastrophe, Rob Pelinka did a fantastic job last year at the trade deadline and before, starting in January with the Hachimura trade. I got a little bit more faith that the Lakers are going to improve their roster more than the Warriors are going to improve their roster. And both teams are probably going to do some trades, most likely. And if they're about equal now, I got to go with, I think the Lakers have a better roster period right now. And I trust them to have a better roster in April, let's say, than the Warriors do with the moves.
All right. So again, when you're both arguing the same thing, it's a little harder to pick the winner here. So I'm going to flip a coin. Give me 1 second. Okay. Tails. Jeff wins.
Okay.
Alrighty, there we go. There
okay,
we go.
Cool. All right.
You gotta win, Jeff.
Good one.
You gotta win.
Same argument, so
yeah. But next episode though, let's do the for and against. So we think about our topics. Ben, you're for. Gary, you're against. So that way, because we can't keep agreeing.
I like it. Yeah, I like it. Yeah, it's a good change.
All right, cool. All right, Ben, go ahead with your Arthur Murray. Explain it to Gary because I kind of gave you this idea.
So Arthur Smith.
Arthur Smith, not Arthur Murray. I'm sorry.
No, you good. I don't know what movie or what TV show you're thinking of, but
Arthur Murray's a famous dance instructor.
Okay, there we go.
Indeed.
Okay, so Arthur Smith, former head coach of the Atlanta Falcons, and now on offensive coordinator for the Steelers. So let's just focus on who he was as a coach with the Falcons. You draft in back-to-back drafts Kyle Pitts, Drake London, Bijan Robinson. First-round picks, which, by the way, for cap purposes and roster construction purposes, the time to maximize the young players is when they're quote-unquote cheap, when they're on their first contract, which for rookies, they have to be on the same contract for a minimum of 3 years. So the first 3 years of their careers is the time to maximize them. And Jonnu Smith, who is, let's say, a good tight end, let's say, but he is definitely not more talented than Kyle Pitts. Not even close. By physical ability alone, Kyle Pitts is significantly better than Jonnu Smith. And Arthur Smith, despite that, and by the way, we've said it and I believe it, and we'll say it again, Kyle Pitts has the potential to be one of the best 3 tight ends in the entire league.
Mm-hmm.
And with Kittle and Kelsey and some of them boys getting older, Hawkinson's younger, but maybe getting a little bit older. Like Kyle Pitts in 5 years might be the best tight end. He's that good. And despite that, Arthur Smith thinks it's a genius idea to give the ball targets. We talk about targets. We talk about opportunities. Jonnu Smith had more targets than Kyle Pitts. And they were running, at certain points, they were running screen passes to a tight end. But you would think, if I'm going to run a screen pass to one of my tight ends, I want to give it to the one who's more explosive, who's more, breaking tackles, the one that is faster, younger, more athletic. No, they were running screen passes to the tight ends to freaking Jonnu Smith and having Kyle Pitts block. And by the way, Jonnu Smith is a bigger dude. So you want him to be the blocker. It defies logic in two ways. One, you're giving it to the slower and less athletic dude. And when you're doing that, the one who's not as good of a blocker is blocking. You did it on the reverse and you give it to the more athletic dude and the dude who's a better blocker, you're going to have more success. So that's the Kyle Pitts thing. But Bijan Robinson, that's possibly an even more misuse and stupidity, which we can say Arthur Smith, as far as, we're not going to say he's a stupid man. We're not going to say that. Like, he's an NFL head coach. He's been a coach for a long time. He's smart. We're talking about stupid. You're going to say he's a stupid man? Okay. Well, anyways, go to Bijan Robinson quick. You draft him not only first round, top 10. I think number 7, maybe number 8 overall. And he had 8. Thank you. He had a great career at Texas. Drafted top 10 running back, and he's there. There's a stat. I think it was only 4 games. It's either 3 or 4. I don't feel like looking it up, but either 3 or 4 games this year, Bijan Robinson had 20 or more touches, obviously catches and rushes. In those games, the Atlanta Falcons won every game. That's not coincidence. That's your best player. You give them the ball 20 plus times, they went 3-0 or 4-0, whatever their record was in those games, but they were undefeated when the best player touched the ball 20 times. And out of, let's say, 17 games, let's call it 4 games that they did that, let's just say. So out of 17 games, 13 times you didn't give the ball to your best guy 20 plus times. I don't get it. And I know he didn't, they don't have a quarterback, right? Let's be honest. They don't currently have a quarterback. But how do you make a not good quarterback at least perform a little bit better? Give it to the dudes. Give it to the best players. London, Pitts, Bijan. You feed them the ball. You give them the ball. And it's just a hot mess. And it's hard for me to say that the Steelers are going to be any better with him as offensive coordinator compared to Matt Canada.
It's going to be another Matt Canada. It's going to be another Matt Canada situation.
How do you, that's the thing, how do you go from Matt Canada and then you're like, you know what? We really need an upgrade. Let's think long and hard about this. And, who's going to be better as an offensive play caller? Oh, I got an idea. How about the guy who couldn't use Kyle Pitts and couldn't use Bijan Robinson? Yeah, let's bring him in. He's probably going to be better than Canada. What the? Yeah. How do you think that's going to work out better than Canada? That's just stupidity. But that's all. I know we want to wrap, but yeah, felt like Arthur Smith deserved to get some criticism. So there we go.
Yeah, I like it. It's going to be interesting. Love it all. But hey, guys, we're almost at 2 years. 2 years, man. It's been crazy. It's going to be episode 119. 2 years. This is going to be exciting. Looking forward to it. All right, y'all. That's been fun. We went way over an hour, but I love the passion, Ben. We got to do more of those. Look forward to Duke pulling off that, getting that W. It's going to look so tasty. It's going to be good. But until next time, guys, we'll be back next week for our 2-year anniversary. Same time, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Be there or be square. You don't want to miss it because, well, we're just that awesome. Deuces.